Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got a few things to get through tonight. We want to start with the AOK awards first. Right? Do we have any AOK awards? You have one, right?
All right, so it looks like I have one of my attendees here for AOK award. Could I have Bradley come on up, please? Looking as sharp as ever, my man. All right, so Bradley was kind and patient when he held the door going out for recess. He did this for his entire class, all right? Normally children were always rushing out to get out to recess, but not Bradley. He was there holding the door, showing everybody our Mackenzie manners the whole time. And for that, you get this incredible certificate and a ice cream cone. All right, bud? We'll go over there and take a picture. Come over here, bud. Come here. You ready? Hold it. Give a quick round of applause for Bradley. Nice job, buddy. That's yours, all right? Congrats, buddy. All good. He's adorable.
That's what we have? Okay, at this time, I will, if you people would like to leave that just got that award, instead of being here being bored, feel free, you will not insult us. You're more than welcome to stay, but we're not insulted by it. Have a great night. Thanks for coming.
I'd like to say that they're one of the most efficient families at pickup in the afternoon. Nelsons get into Grandpa's Jeep and they are outstanding. Nice job. Thanks, man.
Bob, how you
Take care,
been?
Matt.
Good. All right. At this time, Mr. Conklin will confer the 2023 summer graduates.
So, graduate is not here, but I would like to honor him. We do have a diploma here for Vince Roger Marchesian III. So, congratulations to Vince right here. I'll make sure they get some. What? On her way? Oh, okay.
All right, so you know what, then let's hold off on it.
All right, that works for me. Yep.
We'll come back to that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Not a problem. Special education presentation, Mrs. England. You're up.
Can you hear me okay? All right, and I'm going to try not to talk too loud. I tend to have a loud voice, so let's get started. Okay, so obviously the goal of special education is to be able to provide an equal opportunity for all students that have special needs to access the general education curriculum as best as they can, and also to improve learning outcomes. So looking at special education law, IDEA 2004, it is required that to the maximum extent appropriate, children with disabilities are educated with children who are non-disabled. So one of the things that we've been working really hard on in the school district is to really try to help students be in the least restrictive environment as possible. So you could see that I took some pictures of some different classrooms in action here. We have a lot of great stuff going on. This picture right there is in the middle underneath, on the left side, is one of our special ELA classes with the younger kids. So you can see she's working with a couple of students there, and this was after, in the upper corner up there, she was doing whole class and then had the kids split up into groups. Working together, which was great. If you look on the top and on the bottom right there, that is our integrative co-teaching math class, where one of them is a special ed teacher and the other one's a general education teacher. So initially they provided whole class instruction and then it's split up into stations, which is wonderful. We're definitely seeing a lot more of this, which is great. And then if you look at the bottom, that is our 5th grade classroom. There's the special ed teacher and the general education teacher working on a writing activity with the kids. And then you'll see in one of the later pictures, they also split up with partners. So it's also required to have a good continuum of services with special education. And if you could see, this is our continuum. Obviously, the general education class is not part of special education, but I thought it was really important to put it in here because obviously that comes first. So we have general education with multi-tiered systems of support if they're needed for students. All students receive Tier 1, and students that need more help will receive either Tier 2 or Tier 3 interventions. Next, we go to integrated co-teaching or direct consultant teaching. So this is the least restrictive form with special education where there are two teachers working in the classroom, the special ed and the general education teacher working together. These are both just different models, and we're doing a lot more of that. You'll see later in one of the later slides. Then we have some specific various special classes. So these could be subject specific. So right now, really pretty much what we have is we have an 8th grade special ELA class for children that need small group instruction. And we have one ELA class for our younger students. We've also created a couple of special classes over the last couple of years. One is our multisensory reading class. And that is for students that are special education, but also need that, they need more of like a Tier 3 support for reading. So they're using some of our specific curriculums that our teachers have been trained in. Most of our teachers have been trained in Orton Gillingham. And then the grades 4 through 6 special ed teachers are in the process of being trained in System 44. So they use that in those classes. And we also have our multi-skills class. So it's kind of like resource room, but the reason why we changed the name and changed the configuration a little bit is because with multi-skills class, you can have up to 8 students. And the reason I did this is so that students that are all in one grade that need the help can be in that one class together. And the name says what it's supposed to be, which is teaching skills and strategies to help the students be more successful when they then go back into the general education classroom. So again, we have some nice pictures here. Up on the top left, this is our 5th grade class that later split into with partners. And we have the gen ed and the special ed teacher both working with students, and they were circulating the classroom. And then on the bottom left, this is our speech pathologist working in one of the classrooms. We really try to strive for our related service providers to push into the classes at least 50% of the time. And this has been a major change as well. It's so that the students can generalize their skills better. So we've really made a lot of progress with inclusion over the last 3 years with the help of our inclusion consultant, Dr. Rice, that we had here the last couple of years, as well as our exceptional gen ed and special ed co-teachers working together. And when we have our annual CSE meetings, we really do try to have thoughtful conversations and really just discuss in depth what works best for each student and to try to make it the least restrictive environment as possible. So if you look at the data here, I did hours per day because it's really hard to be able to do per student because we only have a handful of students that are in special class for full day. So for me to say per student, it was just really difficult to do that. So I have my little cheat sheet here. But if you look at 2020-21, you could see that the amount of hours per day that students were in special class was much higher than inclusion models. I did break down the direct consultant teaching and integrated co-teaching in the middle as well. But you could see in 2020 to 21, we had students in special class for 192 hours per week, and in inclusion type classes, 17.85 hours per week. Now in 2023-24, this current school year, we have 90.9 hours of students per week of students in special class, and this includes our 811 class that we created, and all of those hours in there as well. And we have 193.3 hours per day of inclusion. So you can see we've kind of traded. We've gone from the same amount that we used to have with special class to now having that amount with inclusion. I wanted to put this slide in here because I know we've been doing a lot of work with multi-tier systems of support in the school district. And as MTSS continues to improve, less students will need to be referred to special education. It's also part of the law that school districts must use RTI or MTSS prior to or as part of the individual evaluation to determine whether a student has a learning disability. So it is required. You know, with the work that we've had in all of the assistance with our MTSS consultant, Dr. Miller, along with our diligent MTSS coordinators, the building principals, Scott, and the support of Tracy, we're really making a lot of progress with MTSS. And, you know, as Mike always says, this is the year of data, so using data to drive our instruction and to figure out what types of Tier 1 interventions might better assist, as well as the Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. So the goal is, as it improves, there will be less students that really need to be referred to special education. This is our 811 class. I love these pictures because they really say how much fun these kids are having. So we created this class so that we could keep kids in district. And it is a less restrictive environment for them to be here than out of district. All of these students are mainstreamed into regular specials, recess, and lunch, so they're able to do that with their same age peers. One of the students we brought back from out of district last year, and the rest of them, this prevents us from having to send them out of district. The goal of this class, and we actually have their teacher here, she's over there. She's doing a great job with these guys. The goal is all of these students have a large amount of accommodations to help them be more successful. And these accommodations help them to be able to engage in New York State testing and also be able to participate in the same exact curriculum that their same age peers are participating in. So they're set up with the same curriculum that 4th, 5th, and 6th grade is using. I wanted to include this visual because, and for some reason, the years, they're just really light, so you can't see them. But so the yellow is this year. Yes, you could look at your handout as well. It's just in different colors. And the light green was from 2 years ago, and then the green was 2 years before that. But you could see that we're half the amount of students are currently being sent to out-of-district placements than previously. So this is some really great progress because we can service a lot of these kids here with the right supports. I wanted to include this because this was actually pretty shocking when I spoke to Caleb. In 2022 compared to 2018-19, we spent $700,000 less in out-of-district placements in the district. And after expenditures, it's still $200,000 less in the district special education program overall. And this year, in 2023-24, there should be more of a decrease due to our 811 in-district class. Two other really great things we started, or are starting. We just got a contract with Sullivan County to complete preschool evaluations, so we are technically an agency that can complete preschool evaluations. One of the reasons that I decided to do this is we only have 2 agencies in the county right now that provide evaluations, and they tend to be late with them because they're so backed up. So with us being able to do the evaluations, it increases the timeliness to get them done, while also being able to provide quality educational programming for these kiddos, these young kids. And we also get financial reimbursement to the school district as a result. We're also in the process of getting set up with Medicaid reimbursement. So for students that have Medicaid services, and there are quite a few of them, we can submit for Medicaid reimbursement for OT, PT, speech, and then also nursing. I forgot to put nursing on there. So that, again, is another revenue for the school district. So that's it. I just wanted to put this picture, because I love this picture, of these 2 guys. They were working together in the special ELA class, and I just thought it was so cute how engaged the 2 of them were. That was a couple of 3rd graders. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Anyone? All good? Back to you, big guy.
Thank you. So it's always an honor when I can confer a diploma upon a graduate. So right now, on behalf of the Eldred Central School District, I'd like to congratulate Vince Roger Marchesen III to come up here for your diploma. Congratulations, Vince. Get a picture. Open that up. Open that up. Open that up. Show it that way. There you go.
Congratulations.
So, Vince, graduated early, so great job. Congratulations. Of course.
I give you the option to stay for the rest of the meeting, or we will not be insulted if you guys would like to leave after you guys' diploma. I can understand you've spent a lot of time here.
He's like, I got a diploma, I'm out of here.
I got my diploma, I'm hitting the road, man. Thanks for coming. Take care. Superintendent's report.
Okay. All right. Well, at the beginning of last week, I spent a couple of days up in, where was I at? Saratoga for NISCUS, which is the New York State Superintendent's Conference. And I went to several electrification of bus meetings and information sessions because, of course, we have lots of questions. And so what I've given everybody, my report, and I just want to go, this is a discussion that we need to start having. We need to start looking at what we are going to do because before we blink, it's going to be 2027. You know, like Lisa put my December calendar and I just kind of looked and I was like, oh crap, December's already up on my wall. Like, we're rocking and rolling.
Not to interrupt, it's actually before you blink because everything having to do with this is going to have to be done towards the end of 2025.
Yes.
That's soon.
Right,
It's going to
so,
be even earlier than that, but go ahead with your report.
So-
We'll just have a discussion afterwards.
yeah. So what I'm looking at, so we got right now, currently our lift, our bus lift that we have to have for DOT, it is dying. So this is in a bus garage that we don't own, we lease. And for a brand new hydraulic bus lift, you're looking at anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000. That's just for the bus lift. Because of its hydraulics, it has to be put into below the foundation. It has, I did speak to my husband about this because he worked in this industry. He kept calling them like coffins, but that's where like the cement, the hydraulic, the engines, everything goes. So I have done some research on portable lifts. Like one of the companies that I looked at was Sturtle Coney. And the problem is with the portable lifts, if you're facing the bus garage on the left-hand side, the far bay, you look at that bay and it becomes very tight in there. And even if we do a portable lift, the way a portable lift is, and they can lift buses, they can lift tractor trailers, so it's not an issue of what they can or cannot lift. It is an issue of space. Because of how the portable bus lifts are created, once you get the bus up in the air, the lift cuts out about 2 feet and 3/4 inches. So it's really tight and it's very difficult to then for the DOT inspector to be able to walk around the bus. On the other side, they've got room. So we're going to look at that. If we repair the current lift, that is a Band-Aid, that is $30,000. We have reached out for a transportation study that has been, that will be next week. He is here for 2 days to speak to the bus garage, all the administrators, myself, Caleb, and he is included in that transportation study. We are asking questions about EV. So, and Caleb will talk more about that in his report. So right now we spend about $40,000 a year leasing that bus garage. It is, and it's a little bit over $40,000 a year because it's $10,300 quarterly. Now, figuring out on what we spend in our transportation budget, right now we are spending about $2,603 per student, owning our own fleet. Sullivan West, they're averaging about $2,182 per student. They have 1,100 kids, a little bit less than 1,100 kids, according to their beds data from last year. They contract out with First Student. So there is cost savings there. Now, I always look at a bus, if we do decide to contract out, then it's kind of like the cable company. They'll give us a really good deal to begin with, and then they do tend to go up. So like Sullivan West, their budget for transportation is around $2.6 million. That isn't including a 30% increase that First Student gave them because they had made a contract with them pre-COVID. So First Student had, again, raised their rates. They had to get a new contract with them. So we need some decisions by 2025. If we choose to remain with our own fleet, then we will have to refit with the EV bus infrastructure on a bus garage we do not own. And refitting a bus garage with that infrastructure, you're talking about anywhere from $1.5 to $2.5 million. We either need to build our own garage, which may require going out for a bond vote. Just to let you know now, the pricing I got, so for a bus, a flat EV bus, we're not talking about cameras, we're not talking about software, $400,000 for one bus. That doesn't include chargers. So your level 2 charger, which basically takes overnight to charge, is around $15,000 a piece. And that's what you would find in homes. But it's, again, if you need a turbocharger, and that's a level 3 charger, which they consider that on-the-go charging, that runs you up to about $150,000 a piece. And that requires a phase 3, or a 3-phase electrical system. Or we contract out. Now, bus companies right now, what I've noticed, and speaking to the other superintendents, First Student is right now, it looks like they're kind of creating a geographic monopoly that south and west of Sullivan County is First Student. What I'm seeing rolling V is about north and east of Sullivan County. So then you're dealing with a geographic monopoly, they can charge whatever. I have looked at the New York School Bus Incentive. They do have some incentive programs, and that covers 60% of a Type A bus, and they're saying 60% of 140, which is 114,000. They are assuming the Type A EV bus is $190,000. The pricing I've seen is $275,000. And the Type A bus, or the mini buses, they're still working out the kinks because most of the mini buses are our ADA buses for our special ed students with wheelchair lifts and everything else, and they haven't figured out how to put the batteries on them to run everything. Another school bus incentive, it would cover 60% of a Type C bus. That would be $147,000, but they are assuming the Type C EV bus is $245,000 to $350,000. Again, the price tag I'm seeing is $400,000 per bus without anything. This doesn't include charging stations. I haven't seen anything in the incentive programs that cover charging station. I haven't seen anything in incentive programs that cover the infrastructure needed. We are also not considered to be a priority district. And then for each EV bus that we purchase, we have to scrap a diesel bus. And what they mean by scrap is you have to drill a 3-inch hole into the engine block and disable the front and cut the frame in half. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I wanted to get a lot of information to give you because we have to start this conversation. Because we know with bus companies, the other information that I've received, bus companies like Thomas, Level, Thomas Built, I know that's because that's a North Carolina bus company. They are now splitting up their production. So it used to be they would just make diesel buses and there was no time frame, there was no waiting. Now they have split their production into 2, if not 3. So they'll split their numbers up into diesel and then EV. So we are looking at a supply shortage because they've split their production. Some companies are splitting it up into 3, EV buses, diesel buses, and then they're still working on the technology for the hydrogen buses.
Can I interject on that for a second?
Yes.
So speaking to the transportation, the contractor today, so our last buses, we ordered 14 months out before we got them. We ordered them in August of 21. They got delivered in October of 2022. He's saying they're diesel buses because there's going to be a lot of demand. So if we put the purchase order in before 26, and that's something you guys will discuss later, and I'll shut up after that, is they're like over 2 years. But if you put the purchase order in before 2027, it's still legal. So it's not when the buses are delivered, it's when you put the purchase order in. So after June 30th, 2027, that's when you can no longer put a purchase order in for a brand-new diesel bus. It has to be zero emissions.
And if we do purchase buses, a bus can run about 6 to 8 years, 10 years max, so we can
Push it
for all-
down the road a little.
kick the can down the road until if we put the purchase in before 2027, then we can, and they get delivered, then we can at least push it down the road till 2034. And that gives us 7 years. But at some point in time, we can't kick the can down the road. It's going to happen. Unless Hochul or the legislature decides something else.
Who's using these buses, right? Anybody using these buses in the district or anywhere? Anybody have one of these electric buses?
My mentor is currently, but they're all the way up in Gates Chili. It's all the way up by Rochester. But so they're not having the same problem because they're not. I haven't talked to anybody who has our geographic size. So they're closer to like a Port Jervis. Most of their routes are a few miles. Our average route is between 25 and 30 miles, and we do 2 of them. And so some of the buses are getting about 110 to 120 miles range. The difficulty there is now you're going to have to plan your routes out to try to not be close to that 60, because you can't do both day and night. And you're not going to want to buy 12 $150,000 chargers. You're going to want, from what I was speaking to him, he said you're going to want to buy 12 of those level 2 ones that are overnight at 15,000. You're going to have 2 of the fast chargers because you will need to be able to fast charge on a whim. But I haven't talked to anybody that's got our
Well, let's back up a minute.
Area.
Let's talk about this for a minute. You're talking millions and millions of dollars here.
Yes.
a lot, yeah.
Because I have a problem with investing that kind of money into a building we don't own. The highway department got out of that building for a reason over there. So it's not like it's gonna be there forever. 2 is the price of buses. I mean, how many buses we have right now that are big buses? 11?
12.
12. 12
We
at,
could do
at-
11.
so them big buses are what, $300,000 to buy? $400,000?
400,000 right now.
I get you don't have to buy them all at once, but you're gonna buy 2 or 3 or 4 of them at a time.
Yeah.
So you're looking at,
1.2 for 3 buses.
there you go. Now, we don't even own the building yet, and we already looked into putting the building up when we were doing the bond.
Yeah.
And that was, the building alone was $150,000 or $200,000. It was roughly $1 million. Because you have to have property enough
Yep.
to, I don't want to go on about this, but the moral of the story is it's going to be a big burden to the taxpayers.
Huge.
Okay? Because we're going to have to make another bond, which I have a real problem with that, because we've been good about staying with the taxpayers, not, putting a burden on them. That's why we lowered our bond money that we just took out, so we didn't burden the taxpayers.
Yep.
And on top of it, if we go out to bond and we build a bus garage, it is not aidable because it's not instructional.
Right. It's our dime.
It's our
It's
dime.
our, yes, absolutely, it's our dime. And the problem right now is we need to start saving, because if we go to contractors, they have this burden too.
Yeah.
It's not only our burden.
Oh,
it's
yeah, no,
their
they're gonna
burden
be
too.
expensive
So
too.
what price you're gonna get today, it's gonna be through the roof in 3 years.
Absolutely.
And my next thing I have to say is we gotta start planning for this right now,
Yep.
money-wise.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a choice, we don't have a
No,
choice.
we don't have a choice. We don't.
Because
It is coming down the
2027 is
pipe.
one thing, but we're gonna need to be ready by 2024, 2025.
Yeah.
Especially if we decide to build a building and buy our own buses.
Yeah.
And what'd you just say, 2027, our whole fleet has to be electric?
No, in 2027 is when that regulation kicks in. So
If you
so
purchase anything,
you
it has to
can't-
be EV.
So if you purchase, let's say, May 2027, you can still purchase diesel buses, brand new diesel buses. After that, It's
No more.
illegal for a school to buy a diesel bus.
By 2035 is when.
All of them have to be, yeah.
All of them have to
Even
be.
your used ones.
So.
So
by
2030
2027 is where our biggest burden is the building and buses and charging stations.
Yep.
So I'm thinking and I don't know I can't tell you what they're gonna come with, because they deal with transportation, but I've only ever worked for Eldred. They've worked with transportation departments across the state, but I'm gonna guess that what is gonna be a good idea, and I don't know what it's gonna turn out to, is you're gonna get brand-new diesel buses, because that will give you longer to comply. Coming up with that kind of money in 2 years is gonna be difficult, but that might not be the answer. There could be all kinds of aid I don't know about, and that's what we're
And
having
they
you guys
have
do.
put in some of the language into, because we have a 156-page roadmap to EV buses.
We do.
Not to be sarcastic, but in their language, they have included the hydrogen because they think that is technology that's coming up. They just don't have it yet, but they did include language that would be an acceptable bus. They've also included language about, like, if we purchase buses, and let's say they get delivered, we purchase them prior to June 2027, that in order to make them EV, they have included language about removing the engine and putting in batteries into already, basically refitting buses. Now, but again, at
gotta
that
weigh
point in
that.
time, is it even worth it? Because that means the bus is already 7 years old.
Exactly, you gotta weigh the pros and cons of that.
Did
Yes.
they say how much it costs to replace one of these batteries? They're expensive.
They're very expensive. I know from cars, you're running about $25,000. So to replace batteries in a bus, I don't know. I do know
70,
that, like, and to Scott, what Scott said about it's going to be even if we contract out, it's everybody's going to have to foot the bill. So I do know that the last meeting I went to, Enrolling v. Nick Balone, is that correct? Yep. He was there, and he was talking about they have no idea, because they've got contracts with schools, that they're going to have to do RFPs because they need to send out new contracts because they've got to cover their costs.
Which is another reason I would suggest again, we gotta wait for the thing to come in. But
Yeah,
in
that's
kicking
the
the can,
first
when you
step.
have new technology come out, sometimes it's good to watch other people work through the kinks. So the reason we did the lease to end on 27 was somewhat intentional, because the hope was, well, you got 27 is when you can't buy new ones, but if you got brand new ones, you can go to 2035, and you can kind of watch all of the pain points that other people are going through and try to avoid them yourself. Also, in the meantime, like as you were saying, we could start socking away
We have to.
cash, because you know you're
even
gonna
if
get a
we-
hit at some point.
Either if we go contractors, they're gonna have this burden. If we decide to build a building, whew, and go with even lease buses, the leasing company's gonna have this burden.
Oh, yeah,
And then we have to put in charging stations for these buses to do this.
yeah.
So right now, I mean, we can sit here all night and beat a dead horse. We're gonna have to face it. The only thing we can hope for is that the government kicks it down the road.
Right. Well, that's why I'm
Say,
saying
hey,
is if
listen, this isn't gonna work out, it's gonna take another 5 or 6 years. But we have to be ready. And we can't
Absolutely.
be burdening the taxpayers with all of it.
Well, I agree.
So we're gonna have to start taking baby steps here, start saving money. Me personally, my personal opinion, I put a Band-Aid on that lift over there.
And
That's where I was kind of
that's
at.
what we're looking at, is maybe for the
I'm
Band-Aid on the
I'm
bus
just one
lift.
person here, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but $300,000 for a lift in
On
a
a
building we
building.
don't own, that we don't know where we're gonna be in 3 or 4 years?
Well, we're definitely not doing that one.
No.
Tracy's looking at if you can get the mobile
And I don't
lift.
get this 5 feet thing around either. You get me? I
That's
don't
what-
need 5 feet of space to walk around.
No, and that's what, and we've even with the transportation study, and I'm gonna go over and meet with when the DOT comes back, because I want to get more information. Because again, when I spoke with my husband, because he worked for Westchester County Beeline, I even asked him, and he goes, I don't remember, but we're in huge garages. So they didn't have to worry with the space constraint. So I am gonna have to get more information on that.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on this?
I just have a quick question. When you say Eldred is now considered to be a priority district, what does that mean?
So we're not of the 5 districts, so Yonkers, the city, And then we're not considered to be a priority district, and the priority districts are the ones that are high, basically the high economically disadvantaged. We're not considered to be that. So we're not like Wyandanch, we're not Fallsburg, so we're not part of the priority.
Okay.
Basically, it says that that if we were one of the priority, then they would help us more. But then we can afford it, so we don't get the extra help.
We still get the regular transportation aid, so
Yes.
you buy, what's gonna be, what, $4.5 million worth of buses in the end, if you buy 11 of them at 400 grand. They'll give us 40%, which is our transportation, but then that means the taxpayers are on the hook for 60%, which is, 2.4 million. Whereas like our last buses, it was 1.7 million for all 11. So the buses we buy right now are about 170, the ones that they want are a
And
little before.
it's still tracking, because they said last year that transportation costs were on track to go up 300%. So they're still tracking that it's going to go up 300%.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, but.
No, we just, like I said, we just have to prepare for it and
Yes.
take
exactly.
baby steps and see where we go from here. The biggest thing is getting that reported in
Yeah.
a couple weeks.
He told me that he should have it in November.
Okay.
We should be good.
Is that your report?
That concludes my report.
That's enough, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion or questions on Ms. Ferry's report? We all know we're looking at the devil here. We'll just have to figure it out and try to be as easy as we can, as we always do. All right. Mr. Carpentier, you're up.
Mr. Halleck, thank you. We a little bit happier here. So our attendance at GRM has started off to be the great this year. We're at 93.39%. Our goal was 92.5%. So working with Ms. Gallo, our school counselor, we put in a number of incentives for grade levels to make sure our attendance stays high. And we're really excited about that. Academic outcomes. So GRM right now is struggling a little bit. We have just under 60% of our students at GRM, which is 127 total, who are below the 80%, do not need to receive a Tier 2 or Tier 3 intervention. We have 99 students, or other 99 students, that do need to receive a Tier 2 or Tier 3 intervention. Ideally, we want 80% of our students receiving a Tier 1 intervention, and then the other remaining 20%, 7% receiving Tier 3 and 13% receiving a Tier 2. So we are a little bit high on that end right now, so we're working to improve our rigor and our academic outputs for our students and improve student outcomes. We started to implement Leader in Me. The staff have begun teaching the 7 habits, which will eventually lead to 8 habits for their students in their classes. We also have, through MTSS, we're continuing to refine our RTI system to help our students in Tier 2s and Tier 3. On a really high note, when I wrote this report, we had just over 10 clubs. We're looking at over 15 clubs for the fall, and I do expect to have well over 200 kids in a club, which will be great. Student council will be elected on November 7th. Odyssey of the Mind, we're going to have 3 teams this year, which is the most we've ever had before. We're going to have 2 Division I teams, and we're going to have a primary team as well, which is great. And I can't thank the staff enough for the clubs and for being able to have those Odyssey of the Mind teams. Our readathon. So the PTA put on a readathon. We currently have 73 students registered. There's no elementary school students here. They have read over 10,000 minutes already. The goal was 10,000 minutes in just the month of October, so that means I'm getting slimed in November. So we're not going to tell them that. And we do expect to put another goal of about 25,000 minutes for the remaining of October, and we'll have another goal set for them, maybe another pie in the face, something they can do to the principal. So that seems to motivate a number of kids to continue reading. It's also raised over $2,000 so far for the PTA. So that's a win-win for all of us. So that concludes my report.
Don't wear your best suit that day.
I already have my outfit picked out.
Any questions for Mr. Carpentier from the board? All good? Thank you. Mr. Conklin.
Thank you very much. So I'll be quick because I do have a special guest here tonight to talk about the junior senior high school that I'll introduce at the end of my report. We've hit the 5 weeks in our marking period. Progress reports were published on October 10th and are available on the student and parent portal. for everybody to view. Today we had our coaching day with our Leader in Me coach, Sharon Chapman. Next steps were discussed for mainly our 7th and 8th graders, but our building as a whole. Ms. Chapman met with our action teams, which are kind of going to branch off into the school to kind of get this Leader in Me process going and build leaders within the faculty and staff, and then ultimately the students. So it was a very productive day. I had a chance to meet with her at the end of the day and kind of go over everything, and it was great. I have an Ed Council that I put together this year, which consists of department coordinators. The goal of this group is to collaborate on ideas to kind of and move the junior senior high school forward and do what's best for our students in the building. We had our first meeting, I think it was September 26th. It was a very productive meeting, so looking forward to meeting with them. And they kind of, talk to their people in their department and come back and bring, however I could support them. So it was very productive. Homecoming's here, finally. I feel like everybody else said their homecoming. Homecoming week is next week. Just want to run through the events really quick. On Thursday, October 19th, we're actually going to have the pep rally 9th period just for students. I'll say it's on Thursday. Usually it's the Friday of the football game. It's on Thursday because Friday there's senior pictures taking place in here, and we're fully booked up for that. So also on October 19th will be the fundraising where they're selling stuff, so come out and support the clubs and classes that are out there. And the bonfire. Bonfire will be lit about 6:20, 6:30. We have the fire department coming to help us out with that to make sure everything's safe. And then on Friday, October 20th is our football game and our senior night. And then on Saturday, October 21st is our homecoming dance, which is from 7 o'clock p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. for all of our grades. And only students in grades 9 through 12 are permitted to bring a guest, though. All right? And if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce Caitlin McGarry next to me, who's going to be our student representative tonight, and talk about the junior senior high school.
Thank you, Mr. Conklin. Is there any questions for Mr. Conklin from the board? I will let you know right now, sorry, but I will be out of town, unfortunately, for homecoming.
All right, no problem.
I didn't realize that's when it was. We made plans to go away, so I'm going to try to get back Thursday night for the bonfire. My
Okay.
granddaughter has a game in Tri-Valley.
Okay. We didn't have a lot of home games this year. I don't know what the schedule just shaked out that way.
There's
So
only
this was
been one so far, right?
Yeah, the two, we had a Saturday that we rescheduled, but this was like the only week we could have picked. It was tough, so,
It
yeah.
is what it is.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Caitlin, welcome to the board.
Thank you. So the National Honor Society is hosting the Community Blood Drive on Wednesday, October 25th from 2:15 to 6:15. So if you can donate, please sign up on Red Cross online. If we receive a certain amount of pints, the seniors in National Honor Society can receive up to like $300 in a scholarship, which could help us towards books and stuff during college. The Eldred Performing Arts Club is finally back together, and they have started meetings and rehearsals already. They're going to be putting on a production of A Christmas Carol in the winter. As Mr. Conklin mentioned, we have the Bonfire and Spirit Week coming up next week, and Homecoming, which is hosted by the senior class this year. SAD has Red Ribbon Week, the week of October 23rd to 27th. We're going to have a Wear Red Day on October 27th. Red Ribbon Week is to kind of just bring attention to the dangers of drugs and alcohol, and to kind of just make sure everyone is doing okay. The GSA is just celebrated their National Coming Out Day on October 11th. And this month they are continuing with student education on the LGBTQ history. And the 10th grade, it will be selling Krispy Kreme donuts at the end of this month. So if you want some, make sure you can scope some out. We have the pep rally, of course, and then our senior class is selling Christmas wreaths and Gertrude Hawk chocolate in a catalog. So again, if you want some, please scope out a senior. And our Mu Alpha Theta is doing math tutoring every Wednesday after school in Mr. Carty's room. And then we have book club. This month is reading Where the Crawdads Sing. So, and that's about it.
What's your report? Thank you. Any questions, Caitlin? Thank you. Mr. Krebs.
Mr. Halleck, good evening. So the first bullet I have on here is our November 1st conference day, our professional learning day, and it's going to be a little bit different. It's a countywide conference. In the past, our countywide conference, which was a number of years ago, typically had our core subjects, math, science, social studies, and English, going out, and all of the rest of the staff was left in-house. And this year, the county schools said, what's happening with all of the others, because we do have stuff in-house for those core subjects. So the nurses, the teacher assistants, the aides, the psychologists, all of our people outside of our core are now going to, Sullivan West is going to host a countywide conference days, so those individuals can get together with their peers and learn in groups. So that's taking place on November 1st. We've had Dr. Miller come in a couple of times with our RTI and literacy, and she worked with our staff on progress monitoring. She just came back this past Monday, I think it was Monday, and did another round of progress monitoring with the teachers so they understood the process for RTI and how to collect data, as Mike says, a year of data. And not only do we have professional learning that takes place on our conference days, but a number of our staff, almost everybody, you included, go out for staff PD events, and I listed a couple of them that are going on. We have the New York State School Boards Association that provides professional development and workshops. We're doing one on Read 180. We have progress monitoring. We're doing on fluency. Our Tri-State Consortium, our principals, our special education director, myself, the superintendent, goes out for workshops and study groups through the Tri-State. NISCUS, which is the Council of School Superintendents, has events. NKERN, Mr. Conklin, myself, our counselor, is part of NKERN, which is the National Council of Rural Education, and a resource network, and along with a number of things that goes through our BOCES, Putnam, Northern Westchester BOCES, Rockland, Orange. We send staff out for a number of professional development opportunities for that. So I just want to let you know, like, our staff are participating in professional development because it improves their craft and the things that impact our students directly. So when we have goals that we've set up for the year, we kind of follow through with the goals and look for PD opportunities for our staff. So that's all I had to share with you this evening. I'll have a larger list on PD as we go throughout the year, but I just wanted to let you know those things are happening.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Krebs from the board? All good? Caleb, you're up, big guy.
So I'm going to start with the, well, let's see if this is a little higher. I'm going to start with the school taxes. We've collected 85% of our money already, which is pretty quick this year. We're earning 5.289% interest, which is amazing. We're earning more interest than we did last year. We're going to earn probably upwards of $200,000, which is nice. I don't expect that to happen forever, but the economy, it's strange right now. So the Fed is talking about, not next year, but the year after, starting
Put
to
it in
ease
the
up
bus
on the
fund.
interest rates. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, probably. That is probably where it is going to go. I reached out to this firm. Now, this fits into our budget, so we don't actually have to board approve this, but it's not something I would do without consulting the board because it is a new contractor. This is a company called 3+1. What they do is they work with 200 schools right now. They go out, they search all the banks, they do RFPs for CDs. They'll work within our parameters if you guys are okay with it, so you guys can set and say we want to keep X amount of our money in local banks, right? So you're not going out and all of your money's now in one of these big banks. One of the things they would do is they would suggest, say, Chase is offering a 5.6 or 5.7% CD. They also have a software that comes with it, but really the draw for me is earning more interest. Software is like a bonus, so I'll be able to give you prettier reports about this is where our money went. The other thing that they do is they kind of analyze what the lowest cash balance is that you've ever had so you can lock up some of your money, because here's what ends up happening, right? I can get into a treasury bond right now. I can get into a one-year treasury bond that's 5%. And you'd say, well, how much can I lock up for that long? They help you with that. One is they can say, well, your bank balance never went below $1 million, so you could lock up 600 grand. So when one day, inevitably, interest rates go back down, you've now got a portion of your money still earning that 5%, so you can lock it up a little longer term. The cost is $9,900. They give 3 month, you can back out if they haven't earned their fee back with higher interest rates. The benchmark being 5.289%. So, which is why I brought that up. It's something I don't think would hurt. It's something that you could back out of if it's not working out. That's more of a question and a discussion for you guys.
If it's making money, let's do it.
If that's not local, right?
No, they're not. They're up in Rochester. They're a company that I met when I went up to, like you guys have Niscus and NISBA, I've got ASBO. So I went up to ASBO. I have all non-tenured administrators have a mentor. Mine is from, he actually has the first all-electric bus fleet, oddly enough. But again, he's in a city
Right.
environment. But he's in a school called Gates Chili. It's spelled chili. I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time. They use it. He brought it up and said it's a big, because we were talking interest rates, and I was saying, yeah, I'm earning more interest than I've ever earned. It's actually a decent part of our revenue.
What's your feelings on it, Stacy?
Our deposits are fully collateralized, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And they would continue to be. What they do is, we would have to come to you each time, which is another reason I bring it up.
Yes.
So right now, we have official banks. I'm only allowed to
With
use
this?
those banks. Right now, it's NILAF and Jet Bank.
Commodore? You good with this?
Well, if Caleb's good with it.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to, I didn't want to do it without anybody's knowledge and then have a
Good.
contract show up to you to sign and, you know.
You already
and-
sold it, it's all good, go.
And you'll start seeing stuff. One thing that we'll discuss after we sign with them, because this will be something that you guys will have to kind of decide, and that might be a discussion between you and Tracy, is I don't want to take all of our money out of the local bank.
Right.
So you guys can come up with a parameter and say, we're not, you know, in November you got $10 million. We're keeping at least $2 million with our local thing, no matter what interest rate you get outside.
Right.
But I'll sign with them. We're going to start with the reports. You guys have to approve any banks we go into. So that's why I bring it up too, because you might see add Chase as an official
Right.
bank of, because I can't put into anything that's not an official bank of ours. So you will start seeing those things when I find interest rates there. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up. And if it's
So-
not working out, you can back out, no questions asked.
So you've been doing this on your own up until now, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we're earning pretty good interest, but it's
Okay.
just, they'll go and find, you know, they'll spend their time looking for obscure banks that are offering weird CD products, or they'll go out to RFP because they've got their 200 schools, so they'll say, what CD rate could you offer if you were offering it to these 200 schools? So they'll offer a little bit better rates.
They're gonna broaden what you've been doing.
They're going to do that, and they're going to get the preferential rates by leveraging a huge pot of money.
Right.
Right.
You know, saying you might get an investment of hundreds of millions of dollars when you aggregate it from the 200 schools, and they might say, okay, well, we'll offer you 5.8 instead of 5.3. And on $10 million,
It's significant.
it's still tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
for the year. And then the software is a bonus. They're obviously trying to sell it as salesmen. Say,
course.
oh, this cool software, but you know, we're small, so we don't have a ton of accounts. That'll just be nice to see. So on the transportation, I think we hit most of the
I was
transportation.
gonna say, we beat that up enough. Got agit over that.
Yeah, I don't need to hit anymore. I interjected where I needed to and talked about most of what I need to talk about, and we're gonna have more to talk about on the next meeting, so let's not beat ourselves up until we get the report and
Right.
I have more concrete information. With facilities, we're moving along with the capital project, it's sitting up in NICEAD. It's been there about 6 weeks. They said it's about 16 weeks, so in 10 weeks, hopefully I'll have a better update. We're hiring a part-time cleaner today. They're going to start working Tuesday to Saturday. Thomas Panzarella is his name. Panzanella is his name. And we wanted to start kind of having someone here on Saturdays for coaching and stuff we have during the day, and then cleaning up after events that have on Friday if something gets missed, so that when we come in on Monday, it's all in good shape. we're just waiting on fingerprints for them. And then in the school lunch, these things are long since due. We have to replace 2 pieces of equipment. I'm really getting beat up on equipment right now, but they're old. I don't know how long that washing machine's been here.
My
but
mother had that dishwasher in that. Are you kidding me?
It's cooked. We've patched it to.
She's 50 years old.
It's
She's
done.
been dead 11 or 12 years.
And the company told us
Came here in the
that
70s.
the compressor went on the refrigerator, and the company said they don't even make that compressor anymore. And the guy said, well, if you want, I can retrofit one that doesn't fit in it. And I said, all right, well, we're not there. We're not, because I was trying to save money, and I was like, well, I'm not trying to save money that bad. I mean, if there's not a compressor that actually fits in it, then we'll just get a new refrigerator. We were able to get both of them for $15,000, which is actually not that bad.
Yeah, which is nothing.
I
got
was
more
surprised
than that out
that
of it.
Sarah did a good job finding that. I was surprised we were able to get it that cheap between the 2 of them. That's all I've got for right now.
Very good. Any questions for Caleb from the board?
None.
Thank God. Be quick. I'd just like to say thanks to Tyson Dinglanger, Jimmy Act, and my son Buck. We worked on the field out here pretty much all day, and we have a little bit more to do, and hopefully we get the rest of the clay. We'll have that done in the next week, and that'll be ready to go in the spring. But they were a big help, and all the equipment was donated. The only thing that cost the school was the cost of the clay. All the time and everything was donated. So I want to give a shout out to them. Thank you.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
So before I forget, so all, for all the board members, you do this as a volunteer service. We do appreciate, Lisa made up the certificates just to, make you aware, we do appreciate your service because it is volunteer. And we couldn't do it without you, and thank you for all of your support, so that's why you each have certificates. I also want to do, we hiring a part-time clerk at McKinsey, Tammy Hunsberger. So she's over there. So once she finishes all the paperwork and with her fingerprints, then she will be at McKinsey helping out Mr. Carpentier and definitely helping out Jen Anderson, who has been a rock star this whole time. So I tried to get you help. So, but I did want to introduce Tammy and just again thank you for all your service and thank you for everything you do for me and for this district. So,
Thank you.
sorry for the interruption.
No, it's all good. Public comment on the consent agenda items only. All good? At this time, I will take a motion to approve consent items 6.01 through 9.06.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Stacy. Seconded by Nancy. All in favor? Aye.
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 It's passed. Old business to come before the board. New business to come before the board. Oh, new business, real quick. Hockey rink.
Yes.
Or, I should say ice skating rink. I know, are we working on it or not? Or we got all-
You know, I met with Amanda Zagrodic, and she is, she's already picked out several different items as far as size. So then her and I, along with Michael Skokas, we're gonna measure and make sure we get a good, strong measurement. So that's still in the works.
Okay, good. Very good. Second public comment, if anybody wants to talk about anything. All good? Okay. Next meeting will be held at Thursday, November 9th, 2023, 6 p.m. at the junior, senior high schools here. I need a motion to enter into executive session to discuss supervisor goals, superintendent goals, I'm sorry. Motion made by Kristen,
I'll second.
second by Stacy. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks for coming. Sorry it was long, but we have a big hurdle that we'll be looking at in the future. We need to come up with a plan. Lisa, I think you want these, kiddo?
Did you say you don't expect business after?
I do not expect business after together.
I know, I just wasn't sure if you said it or
No,
not.
I did not say it. I did not.